excuse the somber setting, but I think it's probably the right move for that performance. I said last week I thought we were entering a period of, must-win games, hinge point games, if you like. And we won against the Giants last week, although I didn't think we were particularly um, impressive. And today was just a crapshoot from the beginning. There was no real effort or interest from anybody on the 49ers today. I think the performance was a disgrace, quite frankly. Um, Defensively, well, anytime you're giving up above 40 points, and we were lucky it was that few, you got to start looking at what you're doing both schematically and effort-wise. It was pathetic from us today. Some of the tackling was high school level, if that. Um, I don't, sometimes you can dissect the game to hell, but the fact is we didn't turn up today. We didn't turn up to play. We didn't look interested, and it showed in the scoreline. It was always going to be probably our hardest game remaining. Maybe the Seahawks is going to be harder. It certainly is if we play like that. But there's no excuse for that. There's too many players on this team that are willing to hide behind, oh, Bosa's out, oh, Warner's out. Well, so what? When you're in the game, you have a responsibility to do something. Whether you're Tatum Bethune or Jake Brendel or, I don't know, whoever it might be. Curtis Robinson came in today, Lenore is a senior leader on that defense now. He was pathetic today. Didn't cover anything, didn't tackle anything, didn't do anything. The two safeties are, I'm sorry, like, we keep talking about how great Malik Mustapha is. He might have a few highlight plays here and there. I do generally like him, but pairing him with Ji'Ayir Brown is asking to get beat deep constantly. These guys cannot cover. I don't understand why we're playing two safeties that can't cover. Um, Upton Stout, for all his fight and punch, he's still a rookie and he's a small guy. He struggled today. At least we see effort from him, I guess, but there's just so many things that just don't make sense to me, and there's too many people in the organisation are now willing to hide behind, oh, well, we've got players missing. Sure, I didn't think we were favourites today. I didn't think we'd win today. But I expected something approaching an attempt to win the game. Something like what we saw early in the season, where we still had a lot of the same players out, and we beat them. And we beat them, pretty well, let's be honest. We fought really hard in that game. I don't think I've ever watched a team of the 49ers that's so likeable when they win and so dislikable when they lose. When they win, it seems to be really gutty, grinding out wins, probably where they had no right to do so, but finding ways to do it. When they lose, they're a pathetic bunch. You think about the 4 games we've lost this season. I'll sort of exclude Tampa Bay. Fred gets injured early on, and we never really recovered from that. It was hard to expect us to adjust in the game, but taking that one aside, what are the games we've lost? Jacksonville, pathetic performance. Special teams giving up plays left and right. Defense didn't do anything. Offense didn't do anything. Genuinely awful performance against a team that now, honestly, looks like a joke. They were busy patting themselves on the back for beating us and talking about how great the defense was. We did nothing to test them. So then we lose to them. We lose to Tampa. Fair enough. Like I said, I'll write that one off. That's okay. I'm not super happy about it, but they're a good team, and we lost our best player early on. Fine. Houston. 2 weeks ago, I sat in this very chair talking the same way, with the same anger about the insipidness of the performance. And it was with mostly the same people. The only real differences were probably Mikael Williams and Alfred Collins, who were both out today. Obviously, Mikael's not coming back. Hopefully, Alfred Collins is back next week. But again, a poor effort from the off. No attempt to stop. CJ Stroud has the game of his life because we do nothing to stop him doing so. And today, which I think might be the bottom of the barrel. Rarely do I come out of any 49ers game thinking I don't know what to say about this or there's nothing good to say about this, but there really is nothing good to say about this game. It was one of the worst, most half-hearted efforts I've ever seen under Kyle Shanahan, let alone this season. There was some bad echoes of the 2024 season today. I don't want to sound so downcast. I do want to say some good things, but there just aren't any. I feel a bit for Mac Jones. I feel like he did a lot to try and keep us in the game. I feel for George Kittle, who seems to care every week. Beyond that, McCaffrey, of course. Beyond those guys, there are certain players on this team that I wouldn't piss on if they were on fire for their effort level at times. And there are certain players who talk a big game and do nothing to live up to it. And yeah, I don't know where we go from here, if I'm honest. That was the first real, perhaps the second, because I said last week was important, and it was, to set us up going into the trade deadline. As it was, we did nothing at the trade deadline. I've written at 49ers Web Zone why I think that was. Go check that out, see what you think. I wrote that this is not a team one move away from the Super Bowl. I'd like to think they probably proved that today. So yeah, fair enough, John Lynch. If you don't want to mortgage second and third round picks to pick a guy up, looking at the rest of this terrible defense, I honestly don't blame you. Robert Saleh didn't earn his money today, just as he didn't against Houston. If he's going to take the credit, or he's going to get the credit from people when we put up a good performance in spite of everybody that's out, he should take the blame too. We look clueless at times, and he keeps putting guys out there like Jason Pinnock that frankly just do not belong on a football field for this football team. There's this infuriating habit that the 49ers have of deciding that certain players are these like veteran presences and just keeping them on the field no matter what. Devondre Campbell was the guy last year. It looks like it's Jason Pinnock this year, and Ji'Ayir Brown for some absurd reason. Ji'Ayir Brown has never been a good player, let alone now. I digress. Sorry. Yeah, Giants was important last week to set us up for the trade deadline, and we did nothing. I get why, but and then this week it was a case of if you can win this, you go to 7-3, you go to 4-0 in the division, and let's be honest, you've probably guaranteed yourself the playoffs unless you completely fall apart down the stretch. Instead, we decided to put up that pathetic excuse for a performance, so we're now 6-4, 3-1 in the division, and one of our biggest division games against Seattle still looms, which it feels like we always split the series with them, and if I'm honest, based on that performance, we absolutely will. So where does that leave us? I honestly don't know. It's past 1 a.m. here. I'm going to try and figure that out tomorrow. I'm going to be writing for Sidelinr Sports and 9 Annoys this week, and just try and make sense of what's going on. And also just try and make sense of this schizophrenic football team. How can I be so proud of them weeks in a row and so disgusted by what I saw today? And I am disgusted by what I saw today. Let's not undersell it. This is not performative rage. I'm not going to start throwing things at myself. We were just pathetic. And it's hard to... I'm not even working myself into that much of a rage. I'm just flat. All I want is this team to play hard, And they have so many times this year and made us all so proud. And in a game today where I probably would have accepted if we'd lost it. I probably would have accepted if we lost it by the points that we did, if we had put up something approaching a fight. But that was just nothing. Kyle Shanahan has already said, I believe, at his press conference that the defense simply wasn't good enough. So it at least suggests that he has his finger on the pulse of what's going on. The question is what him and Robert Saleh are going to do about it. Well, they got a week to figure it out, and so do I. So check me out, 49ers Web Zone, Sidelinr Sports, 9 Annoys, and I will see you again next week, hopefully in a better mood, hopefully with the red shirt back on, and hopefully believing in this team again. But if I'm honest right now, I wouldn't put much stock in that idea. Anyway, until I see you again, go Niners.